Hello again. Today I wanted to share my favorite base products for fall. Being from a tropical country, it took me literally years to adjust to the weather, and surprisingly, not a lot of content creators stress just how much weather affects our makeup. These products have helped me transition from summer to fall, with my skin going from dry but very sweaty to just dehydrated, dry skin in the colder months. I find that a solid fall base for my skin type needs to be hydrating and it needs to have the ability to set as well. Because as much as I need moisture going into the winter months, I need products that will set at the same time since there are warmer days during the season. So today I have foundations, concealers, primers, and powders that work really well in transitional weather. Starting off with a quick run through with my primers, I want sufficient hydration but not too much this time of the year. My dryness is slowly getting worse around fall, so I do want to prepare my base to combat my dry patches. The first product is very affordable from e.l.f. It's a gel-based hydrating primer that allows makeup to last longer with tacky texture. I lean on this when I'm going for more longevity, but I don't want to dry out. The second one is Shikulime Moisturizer from Shiseido. It's very nourishing and plumping, but I honestly can't find it anywhere. I don't know if it's still available, and it's such a shame because I love the Waso line. Lastly, the Dior Forever Glow Star Filter, which is a similar finish to the Auric Glow Lust in terms of hydration. I love using this on the perimeter of my face before foundation because it gives such an ethereal glow. I do avoid this on the center of my face where I have more texture. Next up are foundations and skin tints. I'm more inclined to hydrating products than setting since I am getting dry but not too dry, so I don't want to be overly dewy to the point that it barely sets because I do have texture that I want to minimize. First up is the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Tint, which retails for $36 US or 49 CAD, meaning the price per ml is 0.8 US or 1.08 Canadian. It is a decent price for a Sephora product, plus you are getting 45 ml instead of the standard 30. It's in a light package, so this is great for travel, and it's packed with skincare ingredients as well. The finish is supposed to be skin-like, radiant, hydrating, and smoothing with a light coverage. And this has also won the Allure 2024 Best of Beauty Awards recently for Best Skin Tint because, it's just that good. It checks all of the claims, being quite hydrating but smoothing at the same time. In fact, this reminds me so much of the Hourglass Vanish Skin Tint, with this one just a touch less hydrating, I would say. Truly just a super easy product to work with for drier skin. The next one is the Haus foundation, retails for $49 US or 67 CAD, which means price per ml is 1.63 or 2.23. A bit pricey in my opinion, but you do get a beautiful weighty packaging. This is a medium coverage, weightless foundation with fermented arnica that is supposed to reduce redness. I love using this for special occasions when I tend to wear a higher coverage base because I know this won't dry me out compared to other full coverage bases. I would say this is an early fall foundation as I don't like fuller coverage as it gets colder, but you can easily thin it out if you need to. I do recommend this one as the formula has such a unique technology and the most flawless finish. The only con for me is when it settles into pores in a very unattractive way, maybe about 10 hours after, so I just don't wear this in extremely long days. This one is mortifyingly expensive. I got this for half off and I still thought I paid way too much. This is a Sisley Paris Phytoteint Nude Foundation, which retails for $110 USD or 140 Canadian. This is 3.67 or 4.67 per ml and claims to be a fluid, ultra-natural radiant foundation with sheer coverage. This is rather blurring though and surprisingly smoothing for a very liquid formula. The texture feels fast setting but also very moisturizing. It's very unique. Its setting power reminds me of the Tom Ford Traceless Soft Matte Foundation, but way more hydrating. I love using this on sunny days just as much as I love using it when the temperature drops. I don't know if it's worth the price, but I won't be surprised if this has a cult following because it's such a solid formula. It's a luxury foundation that can work flawlessly year-round, which is arguably a reasonable investment. Another fall favorite is the Hourglass Skin Tint, which retails for $49 US or 66 CAD, which is 1.4 or 1.9 per ml. It is a bit more than average though at 35 ml. It claims to have a light coverage, long-wearing, hydrating, radiant finish, and it delivers on all of the claims, at least for my skin type. It is quite creamy and so similar to the Yummy Skin Tint as I mentioned earlier, but this is a bit more thicker and more nourishing. I would love to know if you have an oilier skin type, if this wears well for you. But anyways, between this and the Yummy Skin, I do prefer this just a bit more because I have very dry skin and this has more nourishment. Even if I don't like the packaging that much, I feel like this is not as luxurious as the other Hourglass products. Not the best packaging for sure from the brand, but it's an insanely good formula, which I'm quite surprised with. Usually their foundations are too oil controlling for my skin type. Next up is the Chanel Beige Cushion Foundation at 97 CAD or 6.47 per gram. Now, I can't seem to find this in the US website, so I'm so scared this is getting discontinued. I love cushion foundations, but Korean ones usually have too much gray, or like the Tier, it's too drying on my skin type, so fingers crossed I'll still have my perfect summer match from Chanel. Now, this is supposed to be a refillable, hydrating, naturally radiant finish with light to full coverage. Because winter can get so harsh on dry skin, it literally took years after moving here to find products nourishing enough for sub-zero temperature. But with that said, every Chanel-based product has worked for me in the coldest weathers, so that's why I'm so obsessed with this gel foundation. Chanel is usually sheer, and this is fuller coverage, so it works better for fall versus winter on my skin. Second to the last is an affordable K-beauty option, but I won't go into pricing because there's no set retail price in North America. Disclaimer though, this is very light shade options, so you can skip this one if you have a deeper complexion. It's the Missha Perfect Cover BB Cream. This has been one of my favorite bases for so many years. However, my only gripe is the shade range. I mean, it is marketed to Asia, so understandably these are mostly lighter shades based on their market, which I am under, but it just looks too gray for me. If you are medium to deep, I think Tint is a Korean brand that has marketed their releases to the West, so their shade range is 100 times better. In terms of the formula though, this BB cream is unmatched. It has high coverage, but it almost never cakes up on my skin, and it has SPF as well. Unbelievably healthy looking with a full coverage. Now the last one is my favorite stick foundation of all time, so I had to include it even though I'm not really sure if this is still available. The Tom Ford Traceless Stick Foundation gives you a flawless matte finish that lasts all day, retailing for 90 US or 120 Canadian, so 6 or 8 per gram. When my skin is at its worst, my dry patches are so stubborn that almost any foundation will make it look flaky. This is the only stick foundation I will trust using over it. Of course, the skin tint is preferable, but when I want a fuller glam, I can get away with using the Tom Ford over my problem areas. I know the new Dior stick foundation is very viral right now because it has great oil control and the smoothest finish, but Tom Ford can honestly do both of that and still be usable on extremely dry skin. The Dior one just clings to dry patches. Such a shame if this is really discontinued. The next category are concealers. First off, my under eye concerns. I feel like it's a bit rare, but I think that I have bags on my left, but a bit of hollowing on my right eye if that's possible. Let me just remind you that asymmetry is perfectly normal. I'm just getting into the deets so you have like an idea of how I'm reviewing the products. I also have dryness, a bit of fine lines, and just a tiny bit of purple discoloration on my inner eye. Nonetheless, I don't think it's extremely bad, just signs of, getting into my 30s. Now, I filmed the concealers with the Rare Beauty, but this is actually not a concealer. I didn't realize that, but it makes sense why it's so sheer. Just disregard this one, I won't go into details. The first one is the Gucci concealer. I feel like this is so under the radar, but understandable, no one wants to pay so much for a concealer, let's be real. I mostly get my products on sale, so my girl math sets is worth it. If you get this though, I highly doubt you'll regret it. This is a long-wearing, full coverage, and natural finish formula, so it's perfect right when summer switches to fall, because it does have more of a set down, but it won't dry your under eyes. I would be wary when using this under 10 degrees on very dry skin, But otherwise, this has beautiful skincare ingredients that gives a beautiful finish in the early fall months. It retails for 47 US or 64 CAD, amounting to 5.9 or 8 CAD per ml. The second concealer is from Kulfi Beauty. This is not my exact skin tone, but it works great as a corrector, especially because I just realized lately that I prefer correction over brightening. It retails for 26 US or 35.50 CAD, which equals to 5.2 or 7.1 per ml. This claims to be a crease-proof, self-setting, and hydrating concealer with medium coverage and a radiant finish. I know this 100% delivers on all the claims at a fairly affordable price, and I'm actually almost done with mine because I've been using this too much. Truly, truly one of my favorite concealers of all time. If you have dry skin but you want to hide discoloration, this is a great product for that. The last is from Givenchy Beauty and retails for 39 US or 53 Canadian, so 3.5 or 4.8 per ml. Surprisingly, the cheapest price per unit of the three. This claims to be a revolutionary, hydrating 24-hour concealer that gives medium coverage and a radiant finish. I find this to be similar to Kulfi in terms of the radiance, and I can imagine this type of formula to be flattering on mature under eyes. I don't know if this is 24 hours, though. What does that even mean? But I do agree it looks beautiful all day, very dry skin friendly. It's lightweight but feels nourishing at the same time. These concealers are my favorite as the temperatures slowly drop this time of the year as a dry skin girly. I think this works well if you have slight discoloration like me, but also feels promising for people with darker circles. As much as a good concealer will smooth the under eye area though, it's best to set the concealers if you have bags or hollowing, because powders just have this amazing ability to make the area look flat, so if you find the right powder for your concealers, it will just elevate your technique. And just in time, this is the next category we're talking about. Now, powders in cold weather just seem so intimidating together, so I really racked my brain to see which powders will look great in the season. These are definitely recommendations for drier skin, but early fall the weather is still warm to be honest, so I'm also taking oil control into consideration, albeit I don't have as much oil compared to oilier skin types. The first is Attack Free Makeup by Mario Loose Powder, which is 52 CAD or 38 US, so 3.47 or 2.53 per gram. It's not a lot of products, nor is it a groundbreaking package for the price, but the formula is quickly becoming one of my favorites. It's actually beginning to compete against my Holy Grail loose powders, the old Givenchy and Huda Beauty. It's blurring, it's not cakey, and it lasts all day for my dry skin. The Chanel powder claims to be a perfecting powder with an ultra lightweight and airy texture that mattifies the skin without accentuating lines. Surprisingly, this is one of the best priced luxury powders considering you are getting 30 grams of product. So for reference, the new Givenchy loose powder is at 8.1 CAD or 6 US per gram, while this is only 2.6 or 1.87 per gram. This is up there with the Mario loose powder in terms of performance for my skin type, and it's tag-free but it's still quite blurring. I love to use this in fall because it doesn't dry my skin while removing unwanted texture. And the last is the Hourglass Vanish Airbrush Press Powder, currently in the market for 73 CAD or 54 US, which is 6.95 or 5.14 per gram. In my experience, this is an exceptional product when applied to a dry base, so I would be really careful with application to make sure it's nice and dry before you go in with this. If applied effectively, it's blurring, it's not cakey, and similar to the other products, it's also tack-free. And there you have it, my favorite base products for fall. If you like this video, please feel free to give this video a thumbs up, or you can subscribe to my small channel. I would really appreciate that. Thank you guys, and see you on the next one.